comes to issues that are important to our communities, the communities that we were elected to represent, then it's important that we stand tall outside of what I would agree is within the coalition agreement. You know, those MPs that threatened to go to the crossbench, you know, in one way we're always going to remain members of the National Party, in one way independent nationals. But this morning the National Party room has approved and our position and where we go from next. So I'd like to advise that the National Party room this morning agreed to a number of actions. One, that the National Party will not attend joint party room. Joint party room, for those that don't understand, is an important process where bills that have been approved by Cabinet will get approval by both parties, the membership of the parties. So we will not be attending joint party room. We will no longer be attending any parliamentary leadership meetings. That is at the heart of what we're saying. Furthermore, we are also in agreement from the party room that we will be abstaining from supporting any government legislation or bills, but we reserve our right to vote on and support or not support bills that are relevant to regional and rural New South Wales, and we'll do so until such time that our position and our amendments are considered and the issue around the SEPP is actually afforded in a way that we are comfortable with. On Tuesday, the National Party will also put in place and will flag that we will introduce a repeal bill for the current SEPP. We accept that there needs to be a SEPP in this state. We've always had a SEPP in relation to koalas. But under the current SEPP, and with the reluctance of following on the commitments around guidelines, we can no longer support the SEPP, and therefore we will put in a repeal bill. The National Party, and this is the conversation that we have in the media constantly and in our communities, the National Party stands for a thriving koala population. We actually want to see the population double, that we can actually deal with the issues that were raised in recent reports. We're not anti-koala, and this idea that somehow the National Party is anti-koala is wrong. You know, for Sydney, where we're seeing record amounts of bitumen and concrete being laid and habitats of all sorts being destroyed, but yet those planning approvals happen. And to cover that guilt here in Sydney, we think that a SEPP like this is somehow a way to sanitise the regions, attack the property rights of landholders, do absolutely nothing to actually to support koalas. But what it does do, it does impact on our communities, our prosperity and our farmers. The key elements of what we're trying to achieve is this is a clear definition of what a koala habitat looks like. We are prepared against, of course, the tree species report to accept the first two levels of koala habitat. The tree species that were identified, that would actually take the tree species from 10 to 39. That's almost quadrupling the number of tree species that we're accepting as part of the koala habitat. The author of that report made a submission to the consultation period because he believed that his report was misrepresented. The report identified a couple of trees like cypress pine or, of course, the monoxious weeds as koala habitat or feedstock. If we were to support that, we would become the laughing stock of regional and rural New South Wales. Maps that were sent out by the Department of Planning identified a 5,000 square metre industrial shed, a roundabout on a road, and a number of other hard infrastructure as koala habitat. We know that there are gaps in the satellite imaging that is identifying koala habitat. That's what we are asking. We're asking that all that data be ground truthed, on the ground, property by property, and the cost of that not borne by the farmer or the landholder, but borne by the council, who want to impose koala rules on those properties. I don't think that's an unfair ask, that we don't burden, again, landholders and farmers with more green and red tape. We're not anti-protecting environments that are for our koalas and the habitat. We are not supporting developers to come in and pillage our communities, build condos as the Minister Stokes sort of reflected on. Because those large-level developments, large-scale developments, of course would have to do a koala survey, and that cost should be borne by the developer. But when a farmer or a landholder isn't able to put in a driveway, another feed shed, then you know that this policy is wrong. This policy is wrong on the basis it attacks for the property rights, the ability for our farmers, pride of native forestry that is important, and after the biodiversity review last year clearly said it should not sit in the SEPP, it should actually sit in local land services. So what we're putting forward today are actually sensible, scientifically backed amendments to the SEPP that actually protect koalas, allow us to rebuild the habitats across the state, but at the same time find the balance in supporting our regional rural communities. And that is our position today. So recapping, our position is that we will be abstaining from voting on government bills, but reserve the right to vote on bills bills and motions that are important to regional rural New South Wales. We will not be attending joint party room nor parliamentary leadership meetings, and the party will be introducing on Tuesday a repeal bill for the current SEPP.
Barilaro, does this mean that the National Party, including yourself as Deputy Premier, have effectively quit the cabinet?
No. What I've announced today is that effectively it's put all members on the crossbench in a roundabout way. All members united in the National Party on the crossbench, in a way that we will not be supporting government bills. But we're not just going to surrender our cabinet positions, our ability to fight for regional rural New South Wales, because I know there are Liberal members that would love to see that. They'd love to see me resign today. They would like to see members resign today. But that would be actually giving in. We're going to sit back and fight. But in the meantime, we will use our ability in Parliament and the parliamentary process to actually get our message across. So effectively, by not voting or abstaining on voting on government bills, we're effectively on the crossbench. Absolutely. We'll be going to cabinet meetings because those decisions at a cabinet, as we've just seen today, do affect regional rural New South Wales. And as representatives of our party in cabinet, a privileged position for the National Party MPs is that we will be attending cabinet, ERC, to make sure that we continue to fight for our regions. What we're saying is we won't be going to joint party room where the final tick for government legislation is normally held. What we're saying is we're going to abstain from voting. No, she doesn't. No, look, I've been in conversation with the Premier over the past couple of days. I didn't want to stand here today, and I think there was an opportunity to hear Catherine Cusack actually play the man, not the ball. In this case was disappointing. To hear her and some others in the past, whenever there is a policy disagreement with the National Party or myself, they call for my resignation. But when it comes to when there's policy differentiation between the Nationals and the Liberal Party, none of my members ever call for the leader of the Liberal Party to ever resign. We actually resolve the issue. We resolved the issue. Furthermore, when Liberal members were going to put a spill motion on the Premier, it was I that came out first protecting her.